You caught me putting candy in stockings. It's one of my family's traditions for this time of year. Now, all families celebrate differently, and that's our theme for today, is kind of how everybody celebrates this time of year. Would you like to come read some stories about it? Let's go. Hi there, and welcome back to Story Time. I, of course, am Miss Hannah, and if you guys remember, our big word of the month is Jubilee, which means celebration. Now, people this time celebrate a lot of different ways. There are different religious traditions. There's also different family traditions. Some traditions are Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and Yule and Festivus, just to name a few, and there's traditions in that. So we're going to read a little bit about some of those traditions from all over the world, because it's not just here in my house that we celebrate holidays, it's all over the world. So our first book is actually about Hanukkah. Hanukkah is a very old tradition, and I've got a book about it. It's called Our 8 Nights of Hanukkah by Michael J. Rosen. Here we go. The first night of Hanukkah, we polished a silver menorah that was my great-grandma. She brought it from Russia, maybe 100 years ago. It's the oldest thing in my house, I think. We all say prayers together as we light the shamash. That's the tallest candle. To touch it to the first night's candle. Baby Audrey burbles, and that sounds like Hebrew. Then we sing Hanukkah songs and take turns reading a story that's even older than my great-grandma's menorah. It's a 2,000-year-old story about this group of Jews led by Judah Maccabee, who did not want to worship statues of cows and give up being Jewish, so they fought against a huge, powerful Syrian army. But by a real miracle, the Maccabees won. Nobody in that story gave Hanukkah presents, especially with superheroes or batteries. They were just glad to be free, to be Jews. On the second night, at Grandma and Grandpa's, we light 2 candles with the shamash. Then we take turns grating potatoes so Grandma can fry them up to make potato pancakes. We always eat too many latkes, and lots of homemade applesauce too. The latkes are really crispy, like French fry pancakes, because Grandma fries them in oil. I've had them. They're super yummy. The oil is supposed to remind us of the lamp that the Maccabees found in the wrecked temple. It only had about 1 day's worth of oil in it, but it burned for 8 days. That was a sign that God was on their side. It's why Hanukkah lasts 8 days. Mom says Grandma's latkes last 8 days in her stomach, too. You know what's funny? Our dog comes with us to Grandma's, too, and we don't give him latkes, but the next day you could smell the latkes in his fur. So silly. On the third night, the shamash lights 3 candles, and we search the house for things we want to give away as presents. See, our family has this tradition. Before we give any gifts, we gather all our old toys and clothes that we don't think we'll use next year. We're not rich, but our closets have plenty of clothes and toys. Some toys we didn't even have time to play with, so we give all these gifts to people who aren't lucky as we are, because Mom likes to remind us that Jews believe in Zetika, which means even little kids have something extra they can share. Apologize for my mispronunciations. After that, we paint cards and wrapping paper. We decorate them with glitter and snowflakes, but nothing really Jewish or Christian. Who knows what holiday the kids receive our gifts will celebrate? We just write happiness and peace, since that's all we really wish. See, different religions can have fun together too. On the 4th night, with 5 candles glowing in the window, we wrap gifts. After we make sure there aren't any loose parts or missing cards or lost men. We erase our smudgy fingerprints and stray crayon marks, and everything looks new. Then each gift is wrapped with our homemade paper. This is also the night our temple has its big Hanukkah party. We bundle up and walk there. The best part is seeing all the lights. The menorahs burning in some windows and trees twinkling in others. The lights tell you who's Jewish and who's not, which you don't really know the rest of the year. When I said that to my dad, he said, well, Hanukkah is a chance to be proud of your religion. There's a menorah there, a menorah there. Christmas tree and Christmas tree. All the kids from religious school come with their families. We have cookies in the shape of the Star of David. That's the Star of David right there. It's a 6-pointed star. Excuse me. And there's cider and coffee, Israeli dancing, and a play about the Maccabees with aluminum foil swords. The preschoolers always dress up as singing dreidels and spin around. I did it when I was this little, and it made me see. Do you see the singing dreidels? Dreidels at top. Excuse Miss Hannah, my goodness. On the 5th night, we have a big family dinner with Grandma and Grandpa and some other relatives. I think all Jewish holidays are about getting together with your family. Friends from my regular school who don't know anything about Hanukkah come too. On that night, we say candlelight prayers in Hebrew and English. For dessert, Dad gives us a net bag with chocolate coins wrapped in gold foil. Then Grandpa says he can beat anyone in a game of dreidel. It's not a hard game. It's just spinning a top with 4 Hebrew letters, a nun, gimel, hey, and shin, one on each side. The Hebrew letters stand for Nas Gada Hala Sham. Grandpa translates for anyone who can't speak Hebrew, and mine isn't so good. It means a great miracle has happened there. 2,000 years ago, everyone probably spoke Hebrew really well back then. At the end of the game, which is mostly laughing because we keep eating our winnings, Grandpa gives us each kid's Hanukkah geld, real silver dollars, to save for college. On the 6th night, after we light the menorah, we drive our gifts to the shelter. The people there know kids who don't even have houses. Last year, we sent our presents to the neighborhood's cousins. They had lost everything in a gigantic flood, even their dog. Although they found him a month later. Later, we shop for family presents. Mom and Dad take baby Audrey, but we older kids go with Grandma and Grandpa. They make worse suggestions about what to get our parents, like kitchen towels or trivets. We already hinted a lot about what we'd like, but our parents always surprise us. Grandma and Grandpa never try to buy us clothes. We go to the giant toy store to look for things we really need. And Grandma will always say, well, I don't know. We'll see. But then my grandpa says he's going to find the restroom, and he sneaks back to buy what we wanted. Each year, the 7th night, we light our menorah at the very best friend's house. They celebrate Christmas, but they like Mom's latkes almost as much as we do, so we bring over a giant platter of them. After dinner, they surprise us with Hanukkah presents, and we help them trim the tree with cranberries and tinsel and ornaments that their 2 cats haven't broken. When the tree is finished, the room is lit with only our menorah flames and the strands of the Christmas lights. We tuck the presents we brought them under the tree and eat cookies. I've sometimes helped decorate earlier that day. Did I tell you that Hanukkah is all about people of different religions living alongside one another? Our last night of Hanukkah is spent with all night. Can I skip a page? Nope, I wanted to make sure I didn't skip a page because that's never nice. Our last night of Hanukkah with all 9 candles burning, we open our gifts one time so that everyone can watch and no one gets cheated out of a thank you hug. Our dog gets presents too, even though he isn't Jewish. Half the presents we made ourselves and the rest we bought with saved up allowance. Plus there are packages from relatives who live too far away to come over. But while everybody is sitting on the floor among all the ribbons and boxes, Dad usually says something besides thank you everybody. He always says something like, aren't we lucky to be able to celebrate the holiday with everyone in our family in this safe place? Isn't it a miracle? Well, now, I know he doesn't mean a great miracle like the first Hanukkah story, but maybe it's a tiny one. Maybe it's a whole lot of tiny miracles that add up to a great one. If you think about the whole world and all the menorahs and glowing in lots and lots of windows. All that light. And Hanukkah is one of the traditions that happens this time of year. Now, I've got a fun song, and we'll go sing it. Let's go. Let's sing Jingle Bells. It's kind of a wintry song that kind of just goes with all the holidays. Ready? Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, o'er the fields we go, laughing all the way, ho, ho, ho. Bells on bobtails ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Good job. Let's read one more story real quick. Welcome back to my comfy seat. Now, it's time to look at another book. Now, different countries celebrate this time of year so many different ways. Our next story is about that. It's called Christmas All Around the World. It's by Mary D. Lankford. Now, for this book, I have to tell you something we're going to do. This book has 12 different countries in them. And so it's super long. And because of that, I can't read it all to you because then you'd be sitting there all bored. So we're going to do something called summarize. I'm going to tell you the story, but I'm not going to read every word. Okay? Okay, this is Christmas Around the World by Mary D. Lankford. I'm going to show you. This is our map. You see all the countries in yellow. Those are all the countries we're going to talk about. First is Australia. Australia is in the southern hemisphere. It's a whole country. Most of their traditions came from England because they were settled by English settlers. Except some of their Christmas cards have animals from Australia, like the koala bear and the kangaroo and wombats. They have very special food on Christmas that are very common. They have ham and eggs, and since it's in the summertime, their symbol is, it's really hot out there, their symbol is a candlelight, and they say Merry Christmas. Since it's summertime, they have a picnic after they celebrate, because they usually go to church on that day. They go to church, and then they have a picnic. Wouldn't that be fun? They have all sorts of yummy foods. One of their favorites is Christmas plum pudding, but they don't use plums. They use apples, and they hide a special gold piece in there, a piece of candy or coin that was for good luck. They have special flowers called Christmas flowers that only called the Christmas bush that only bloom around that time, and they can find the special Christmas beetle. Australian children have Father Christmas leave them gifts. And they have a special parade and boat that at the beginning of Christmas season. Sometimes kids get their gifts in their pillowcases. A very special tradition that Australia has is the Carol by Candlelight, which is shown in this picture. On Christmas Eve, they all get together and they all dress in white. A lot of people dress in white, and they go to the and they sing Christmas carols, and they hold candles. And they sing a lot of carols, and they will sometimes look at the Southern Cross, and they will finish by singing Auld Lang Syne. Next is Canada. Canada's symbol is a Christmas tree. They say Merry Christmas or Joy Noel, and it's really cold. Canada's in North America, and it's our biggest country in North America. They originally were settled by France, so a lot of their traditions come from France. In Nova Scotia, they have the 12 Days of Christmas, and it's marked by beldersnickels, or masked murmurs. And they appear at neighbors ringing bells and seeking candy, and the people who are hosting the party have to provide cake, and they have funny costumes. They sometimes will dress in Grandma's nightgown or in Grandpa's long johns. And they have to try to guess who it is. And if the children have been good, they will give them candy. Sometimes they have nativity scenes or creches outside their home as part of their Christmas decorations. Some of their yummy foods are tourtière, or pork pie, and boulettes, or meatballs. A Christmas banquet is called a réveillon. In British Columbia, they will have a lot of stuff that is very British because it was settled by Great Britain. In Vancouver, they have a parade of boats with carols ringing out all over the place. Canada is a big source of Christmas trees. A lot of them come from Canada and go all over the world, especially in the United States. Next is Ethiopia, and they have a beautiful umbrella as the symbol of their Christmas. They say Melk Gana, or Good Christmas, and it's different wherever it's at. The weather is sometimes it's rainy, some places raining Ghana or Ethiopia, sometimes it's hot. Ethiopia is in Africa, and it is very different than any other places we're going to talk about because it's in Africa, a different continent. They were south of Egypt, and they were very, very prosperous. They were not settled by any Europeans. And they're very famous for their spices and incense and myrrh. In the Ethiopian Coptic Church, Ghana, or Christmas, is celebrated January 7th, not December 25th, January 7th. And they go to church in old churches that were carved out thousands of years ago. Men and women are separated in these churches. Isn't that unique? When everybody comes together, they all wear white. They come in to Mass wearing white. They light candle, and they walk around the church 3 times, and they stand throughout Mass, which lasts for 3 hours. Can you stand for that long? I don't know if I can. Ghana is also the name of Ghana is what they call Christmas. Ghana is also a game that they play by Ethiopian boys. It's kind of like hockey, except it's with a stick and a wooden puck, and you could get pretty hurt because these boys are rough and tumble. Timkat is a 3-day holiday unique to Ethiopia that starts January 19th and celebrates the baptism of Christ. A shama is worn by the adults, the rectangular shawl, and the children walk in a festive procession wearing crowns and robes identified with a particular. So you see here the kids, and the priests wear red and white robes, like up here. Music when the ceremony is played through the sistrum, which is a rattle-like percussion instrument. You can see some of them up here. There's a sistrum, and the sistrum has small metal discs that tinkle. The beat is carried out by a Makaram Maya. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. It's these little drums up here. And they carry these T-shaped poles to support the clergy. The Mekalek, or English musical chants, is learned by the Dabtararas, or church officials, after rigorous study. During Tikmak, they play a sport called Yefras Guks in a large field where they have a game. It's where they pursue themselves with lances, and they dress in white, and they wear lion mane capes and headdresses, and they use hippopotamus hide as shield. It's very different than ours, isn't it? Christmas food is very different than ours. It's injera, which is kind of like a pancake bread. It's sourdough, and it's cooked over fire. And then doro wat, which is a spicy chicken stew, and they sometimes will use their bread to scoop it out and eat it. An Ethiopian child would be amazed at the many gifts that you guys got, because they only get 1, maybe 2 gifts, and it's very small. A simple present, like a gift of clothing, like socks. So they get socks for Christmas. Very different, isn't it? Next is Germany. Their symbol is Tannenbaum, or Christmas tree. They say Frohlich Wittgenstein, or Merry Christmas, and it's very damp and cold, but there are some white weeks or winter weeks. Germany is in Europe, and it's surrounded by a whole bunch of other countries. What they're famous for is Nuremberg's Christenmarket, or Christ Child Market, and it's open from early December till Christmas Eve, and people get a lot of food there and toys and all sorts of things. Some food they get is bratwurst and Lebkuchen, or spicy cookie, and something they famously get is Jumchig Malala, or Jumchig Fralen, and that's prune women or prune men. Here they are in the picture right there. You see them. That's so much fun. And they are very unique figures, and they're made out of food, and they're a very fun tradition. And they're decorated by as different people, like a chimney sweep or musicians, etc. The streets outside there are all decorated so pretty. In rural Bavaria, they have 3 evenings before Christmas called the Nacht, or knocking nights, where mass children go around to the neighborhood clanging doorbells, knocking on things, and they knock on the neighbor's doors, and they have to recite a poem that begins with knock, kind of like a knock knock joke, and the neighbors will give them some treats. German children write Christmas letters to the Christ child instead of Santa, and they put them on their windowsill. They also leave their shoes filled with straw and carrots and leave them outside the front door for St. Nicholas to feed his hungry horses. Good children get apples and nuts. Naughty children get coal. The idea of Christmas trees actually came originally from Germany. The decorations have changed a lot. In the 1600s, they were decorated with roses and cookies and fruit. Now they're with glass balls and all sorts of fun decorations we see now. Heiligabend, or Christmas Eve, is a really important time in Germany. It said the pure of heart can talk to animals. Isn't that a cool tradition? They all gather in their household and decorate the Christmas tree, and just after the bell rings at midnight, they can open their Christmas presents. Here's Great Britain. Their symbol is Christmas crackers. They say Merry Christmas, and it's usually damp or foggy. Great Britain is also in Europe, and it's an island. A lot of their traditions are tied with pagan beliefs as well as Christian beliefs. Some of their pagan traditions are holly sprigs, ivy, and mistletoe. Those were all originally with the Druids. Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert, brought over the Christmas tree from Germany to Great Britain. And they would decorate it with candles and roses and all sorts of pretty things. In the 1840s, a man named John Calec Horsley invented the first Christmas card. And by the 1870s, it was a really popular thing to do. In 1844, a man named Thomas Smith started making Christmas crackers, which is a very famous tradition in Great Britain. They are right here in the picture. They are filled with candy and nuts and a funny poem, and you pull it, and it makes a big pow. It's kind of like a firecracker. Just a little, well, it's kind of like a pull firecracker. And paper streaks and a popping, cracking noise, and there's hats in there and a funny little poem or song. The first on Christmas, something that they do is they have lots of food. Of course, they eat pudding, and they put a coin in it for good luck. And they also listen to the monarch, which right now is Queen Elizabeth, say their annual Christmas greeting. They have a little speech they read. Boxing Day is something very unique to Great Britain. It doesn't have to do with hitting. It started as a tradition where you would box up all your leftovers and bring them to the poor. Now you box up all your leftovers, and a lot of people would give them to service people, such as postal workers or police or firefighters, etc. Isn't that cool? It's a fun tradition. Greece. Greece is in southern Europe, right near the Mediterranean, and it is a big country, and then lots of little islands. Greece is really important because that is where St. Nicholas was a bishop in Smyrna. So this is how their symbol is Christosomo, or Christ big. They say Kala Christologen, or Merry Christmas, and it's Western Mediterranean, so their weather is pretty mild. This is how you say Merry Christmas in Greek, and I'm not going to try to say that fancily because that is written in Greek, and I don't speak Greek. I wish I did. There are only 24 letters in the Greek alphabet, and they are very shaped differently than the Roman one we use. Most Greek homes have evergreen trees, but their very important day is January 1st, which is St. Basil's Day. St. Basil's was father of the Greek Orthodox Church. And some people leave a log in their fireplace for St. Basil because he climbs up down the chimney with toys. Christmas Eve, they have a big feast, and they have this very special Cristomo bread, which is Christ bread. And they're frosted, and each one of them has a different thing frosted with the ornament representing the occupation, like a plow for a farm family, or sometimes they're also with a cross. Before the meal begins, they make the sign of the cross over the bread 3 times. Christmas morning, they have 7 o'clock Mass at Greek Orthodox Church. After that, they'll go sing carols, and then they will get some yummy food, boys and girls will. On the Christmas Day, they would say, many happy years. They have so many different foods. Some of the fun dishes include corn bitis, or a nut cookie, and with a whole clove in it to symbolize the 3 wise men. Also, baklava is a yummy, super yummy dessert. But they conclude their celebrations on Epiphany, or Greek Cross Day, which is January 6th. That's when the wise men reached Bethlehem. Next is Guatemala. Guatemala is in Central America. Their symbol is the Tres Reyes, or 3 kings. They say Feliz Navidad, or Happy Nativity. Their weather is dry with spring-like temperatures, or hot and humid, just depending on where they're at, and because they're right near the equator. Guatemala's original inhabitants were the Maya Quiche Indians, but there was Spanish that came over in the 1600s and brought Christianity. So a lot of their traditions are kind of a combination or an amalgamation of those two. One of their favorites is called the Palo Valverde, or the Flying Pole Dance. Right here is in the picture. It takes place on December 21st, on St. Thomas's Day, where there's a couple of men that climb up to the very top of the pole, and then they swing down very gently and gracefully. Doesn't that look like fun? During the Christmas season, they have a Christmas parade every day. Their Christmas Eve, the festivities conclude at midnight with the Misa de Gallo, or Mass of the Rooster. It's held early in the morning when the roosters were traditionally called to wake up, but on Christmas, it honors the legend that a rooster crowed at midnight when Christ was born. Nacimientos, or manger scenes, are displayed throughout churches and in public places. At homes, they have small figures, and the figure of the Christ child is added on Christmas Eve. In Central America countries, Epiphany is called El Día de los Reyes, or the Day of the King, or 12th Day. And for weeks prior to Epiphany, the children write letters to the 3 kings, like Santa Claus is the Christ child. On the evening of the January 5th, they place shoes on the balcony at the door, and sometimes hay and water for the wise men. The next morning, they have toys and candy. Isn't that unique? Everybody has unique. Here's Italy. Their symbol is Precipino, or the manger scene. They say Buon Natale, or Good Christmas. And they got such different weather all throughout because it's such a unique country like that. They're in the Mediterranean. Italy's in the Mediterranean. This Christmas starts with Zampignone, or bagpipers that come down from the villages, and they arrive at the original. They move from house to house playing hymns before the presepo. The word presepo is basically Latin for crib or manger scene. Throughout the Christmas season, hundreds of manger scenes are displayed in big cathedrals. They have life-size ones that are so big, and so they can leave gifts. Some families have a tradition that they gather 9 days before Christmas, which is the time it took for Mary and Joseph to go from Nazareth to Bethlehem. This is thought to originate with St. Francis of Assisi. The Sippel, or Christmas pyramid, is often displayed, and it's a decoration with 3 or 4 shelves with different puppets or pine cones or figurines, including often a manger scene. Another tradition is that they Italian children don't write a letter to Santa. They write a letter to their parents, promising that they will be a good boy and girl. And they will also, and then after the parents read them, they throw them in the fire. And they talk about the mythical character Befana, who was a old witch who was too busy to go with the three kings to Bethlehem because she was too busy sweeping her house. After completing her work, she went out to find a Christ child but lost her way. She searches for baby Jesus, and on January 5th, the night before Epiphany, the children lift their shoes by their fireplace in hopes that Befana will slip down the chimney on her broomstick and leave gifts for them. They also get presents on Christmas Day from Bambino Gesù, or Baby Jesus, or Baba Natale, or Father Christmas. On Christmas, they eat baked eel. Would you like to eat eel? Sometimes 4 feet long. That's as tall as some of you. And they also eat panettone, or a special Christmas cake. At noon on Christmas Day, the Pope, the leader of the Roman Catholic Church, which is in Italy, gives his blessing or has a little bit of a mass. Next is Mexico. Their symbol is Flor de Noche Blessing, or the flower of the Nativity. They say Feliz Navidad, Happy Nativity, and it's mild because Mexico is in North America and it's part of it's near the equator. Beginning December 16th, they start early. Children take part in Las Posadas. Excuse me. I wish I spoke more languages, but I just speak English, so my languages are not the best, so I apologize. Las Posadas, where 2 children will pretend to be Mary and Joseph, and they'll go to different houses seeking shelter. This is a pageant. It goes from December 16th to Christmas Eve. And each day they have a feast at somebody else's house where they get to hit a piñata. On Christmas Eve, they do the posada to the church and they celebrate there. Families shop at gifts and puestos, or market stalls. And the flag of the Mexican flag is red, white, and green, and that's seen all over the place in the decorations. They have some very special food. They have buñuelos, or pastries with cinnamon sugar, and ensalada de la Nochebuena, which is a fruit and vegetable mixture. Ensalada novella, or which includes fruit and beets, a Christmas salad. On Epiphany, children place their shoes in the windows of their homes. That's a very common thing, isn't it? Epiphany. And they are given gifts by Reyes Magos, or the Magi. One of the adding to the festive colors of the year is the Flor de la Nochebuena, which is admired for its flame-colored leaves. Do you see the pretty flowers right here? And it's all around too. This is their special flower. We call it also a poinsettia. In another part of Mexico, they celebrate a very fun tradition called, on December 24th, La Noche de las Rabanos, or the Night of the Radishes, where in 1897 a contest was held for the farmers to grow bigger, better vegetables, and so each year they carve radishes, and the best and the funnest win. Isn't that fun? Their celebration officially ends February 2nd, so much later than ours, with El Dia de la Candelaria, or the Candlemas. And this is a representation of Mary bringing Jesus to the temple and getting blessed by Simeon. Isn't it fun? So many different traditions. This is the Philippines. The Philippines, their symbol is Parol, or the Christmas star. We're going to talk about that here in a second. They say Maliganyana Pasko, or Merry Christmas, and it's warm and humid. They are an island nation made up of a whole bunch of islands. And they are near the equator as well. The Philippines are the only Asian nation where there's Christianity as their main religion. Their celebration begins 9 days before Christmas with Misa de Gallo, which is similar to the Mass of the Rooster, where But the following days are filled with firecrackers and the sight of thousands of paroles, which are these awesome things up here, fruit drinks, and the Palayono pageant is held every Christmas Eve, where they reenact Mary and Joseph searching for shelter, and they knock on many doors, and they're joined by people, and then they head to the church where they celebrate. Mass is held every hour on Christmas Day, so everybody can make it. And they also have a pastore, or a play based on the story of the Christ child. Paroles are placed in windows of homes all over the country, and they are seen. Many have a large rio, which is a ring outside. Families make these all year. They start in July, and they are ready by November, and then they sell out by December. So one of their fun traditions is serenading with kombucheros, or soymas shows, and they singing a song, and they are special instruments made from coconut shells, carba bones, split bamboo, tin and cans. These handmade banjos are an important part of Christmas in the Philippines. Almost done, I promise. Only a few more, like 2 more pages. This is Sweden. Their symbol is the St. Lucia crown. They say God jul or God jul. It's dark and wintry and really cold in Sweden because it's up north. This is part of Scandinavia. They celebrate Advent. Their first Sunday of Advent, four Sundays before Christmas, marks the beginning of Christmas season. They light a candle each Sunday for the 4 weeks. They also have an Advent calendar where you could open up the windows and get a piece of candy inside. Through the long winter months, they celebrate, one of their favorite celebrations is St. Lucia's Day, which is December 13th. They choose a Lucia girl, and they dress in white with a red sash and a crown of St. Lucia with candles in it. And she appeared, because St. Lucia appeared during a terrible famine, bringing food, so she brings breakfast to them instead. Christmas trees are brought in one or 2 days before Christmas, and they are decorated with a lot of different things, including a small gnome, which is important. They have yummy foods like smorgasbord and Nix, which is a buffet, or Julnikski, Christmas ham, pickled pig's feet, lufsks, or dried codfish, and ringgitskort, or special rice pudding. And then, on Christmas dinner, after Christmas dinner, they have a family member dressed up as Tomte, a Christmas gnome. And unlike Santa Claus, he lives underneath the floorboards of a house and rides a straw goat. And he has a white beard and red robes and distributes gifts from a sack. And they say a funny rhyme. Everything ends on January 13th, after Epiphany, with St. Nut's Day. And he was one of the kings that ruled Sweden. And he was very generous. Isn't that cool? So many different traditions. And lastly, we have the United States, but Alaska. Their symbol is a tinsel-trimmed wheel called stars. And they say, Heristo Reshadas, or Christ is born. And it's very cold, and there's hardly any light because they're so far north. The Alaska people are Native American. The Native Americans are the Aleuts, and they live way up north in the United States. The certain islands almost touch Russia. So we have Russian immigrants came in, and people from people that are natives there, and people that are come from the lower 48 that moved up there. There are a couple different people. Christian Alaskan. There's some people that have Orthodoxy, and some people that just have others, the Christianity. Christian Alaskan celebrate December 25th and have Santa come. Descendants of Russian celebrate Russian Orthodox, which is January 7th. And they start a procession carrying the Christmas star. For 3 nights, beginning January 7th, they carry it from house to house. And they represent the angel that announced Christ. and they in the old harbor of Kodiak Island called Slavek or Glory, they begin a church and they sing a lot of songs, and the carolers go around everywhere. They say Christ is born. Everybody says a fun thing. They sing songs, and then they say, "My God, Letta," or "God grant you many years." They have fish pie there too. And there are so many fun traditions that are all over the world, and those are just a few of them. I hope you learned something, and I hope you had a fun holiday season. Our big word for this month is Jubilee, and Jubilee means celebration. Let's do it together 3 times, because that's how many times it takes to get into your brain. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Jubilee celebration. Here we go again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Jubilee celebration. One more time. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Jubilee celebration. Let's go and see what craft you guys are going to do today. For your craft for this time, I want you to draw the thing that you enjoyed most about this holiday season. Maybe you went outside and saw the Christmas star on the solstice. Maybe it was opening presents with your family. Maybe it was singing songs around the Christmas tree. Whatever your favorite part of this holiday season, I'd like for you to draw, and maybe share it with me in the comments. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas season, and we'll see you soon.